What's happening, guys? We're back. I got a little box in the mail from Summit. Alright, so I got a package from Summit. It's our spherical bearing kits for our shocks. So I figured we'll put our new spherical bearings in our QA1 Shocks, and then we should be ready to test fit them on the car. By putting the spherical bearings in, we don't have to redesign any of the mounts, we don't have to straighten our shocks up, we just dodged a huge bullet. So I gotta figure out how to press these bushings out. I'll probably just stick a socket on there, quite frankly, and try to push them out, damaging the shock as little as possible. And then we'll push in those spherical bearings, and yeah, I'm excited. So let's get after it. And there we have it. We got spherical bearing ends. So, bushing end, bearing end. It was actually pretty easy. Pushing the bushings out though was a little harder than I expected, and they got pretty mangled on the way out. So I think what I'll do is, for the next 3 of these I gotta do, I'm just gonna cut one end of the bushing off with a knife and push it out that way. And then we'll put all the bearings in. I also had to modify my my snap ring pliers, because I only buy the best snap ring pliers that are on clearance at Canadian Tire, and they tend to be wrong. So I had to grind that down, but we got the bearings in. I'll do the rest of them here real quick, and then we gotta pull the front end off of the car so we don't damage the fiberglass, and then we can test them in the car. So let's do it. All right, slight snag. The mounts that we have on there are the right distance apart, but the problem we're running into, if you look at the top of this shock here, the mount comes down right here. So imagine this washer is my mount. It can only slide in, oh man, I gotta get it the right angle here. It can only slide into there, because then it'll start hitting on the body of the shock. So our mounts have too big of a radius on them. So what I'm gonna have to do is trim all of my mounts. That's gonna be very tedious and very boring to watch. So I'm gonna do it off camera, and I'll catch up with you guys in a bit. And I'm back. Oh, wow, it's bright. There we go. All right, it's actually been a little bit, you guys, since I filmed that last part. I know it doesn't seem like it to you guys because it's all one video, but it's been like a week and a half. I've been kind of under the weather, so coming out here and talking to you guys really wasn't high on my priority list. But I have been out here working away. I've done quite a bit on both the front suspension that we were working on a minute ago in this video, and I've also been doing a whole bunch of work on paneling the car, which you'll see in a later episode. But let's get back to the front shock mounts. So when I left you guys last time, I was gonna trim off the suspension mounts to give them a tighter radius so they fit the shock better. So this is, where can you guys see it? There we go. This is one of the tabs off the front suspension. So this is that big radius that I was talking about that would end up hitting the shock body. So we're gonna have to trim this all off. I actually got started on it. There's one that I started trimming. Here, I'll overlay them. This is one that I got started trimming, and you can see right here all the material we were gonna have to take away. I started doing that with the angle grinder, and then eventually I realized that it's just such a pain to get in there in the frame. So I just cut all the tabs out. So these were our old tabs. I cut them all out. It was actually a good thing I did, because it turns out I hadn't fully welded them in. So one of them was starting to break off already and peel the square tubing up. So cut them off, started from scratch, built a new suspension mounting box. Built them actually as boxes on the bench. That allowed me to get in there and fully weld everything. And then I welded those into the car. So I'll take you guys on a little tour. So here's the new boxes all welded in. You can see the mount points down there. And everything is fully braced so that it's nice and sturdy. And we got that tight radius for the shocks to fit into. So that takes care of the top mounts. I didn't film any of the fabrication process on those because it's just way faster to get things done with you guys turned off. So built those up. The next step though is we need to do the lower mounts on the lower control arm. Same thing, it's got way too big of a radius. The shock won't actually fit into it. And it's kind of out of line, which isn't a big deal because we have those spherical bearings, but we want to keep them as in line as possible, mainly just because if they're kicked off sideways like that, the mount plates come into contact with the shock a lot quicker. So we're gonna hack those bottom plates off, do the same thing. We're gonna build a box that'll be our mount, so we don't have individual plates. We'll build it as a box that'll then get mounted onto the lower control arm. So let's pull these bottom ball joints out and start cutting. right, there is our lower shock mount. I added a little gusset in on this side here because there was a bit of a span there. So that looks awesome. Building it as kind of a box by welding the two tabs together first worked way better. I might come in here later and put a plate across the back here just to give them a little bit more lateral structure, but I think that should be more than enough for what we need. So let's bolt this in the car. We'll put the we'll bolt the shock up, but we won't put a spring on it yet, just so we can test kind of the movement of the whole contraption. So let's do it. All right, guys, I think I might have messed this one up again. So the shock mounts are on and they work great. Let's see, we get our travel with no binding on the mounts or anything. Unfortunately, it's looking like I may have ordered too long of shocks. Perfect. I don't get enough up travel. So right now, the way that they're in there, even if I go to full bump right up against the bump stops on the shocks themselves, my frame is still gonna be sitting 4 inches above the ground, which is too high. I'd like to get down to like 2 or even 0, because it's theoretically never gonna go that low anyhow. So yeah, it looks like I may have ordered the wrong shocks. They seemed really long when I bought them, but I don't know, I got my math confused somewhere. So the options are either I redesign the suspension to move the mounts quite a bit further apart, which might work on the front, but I just measured the back and the back also looks a little bit long. I don't know, we'll see. God, it's just never ending. Buying new shocks might not be an option financially, so I might have to do that anyhow. But anyhow, the shock mount looks great and functions just like it's supposed to. It just doesn't work very well with the rest of the suspension. So I'm gonna do some thinking about this and see what I can come up with. And yeah, that's where we're gonna end the episode, guys. So thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already, hit the like and subscribe button. Go check us out on Instagram, Left Foot First Media. I'm pretty sad today. Pretty sad. Anyhow, I'm out of here. Guys in. These were cheap. These were like 30 bucks a piece.